We start with NBC Chief Foreign Correspondent Richard Engel. He's in Erbil, Iraq, for us. Richard, again, a good day or evening your time to you. So what do we know about the breaking news on this rocket attack in Baghdad?
So when we last spoke, what was it, about an hour ago, there were these initial reports of explosions, thuds being reported in parts of Baghdad. Well, just in the last few minutes or so, we've spoken to the Iraqi Joint Security Coordination Bureau, which is a combination of their army and their police forces, and they say that there were 3 Katyusha rockets fired, one landing in the green zone near to the U.S. Embassy. It hit not far from where an iconic location where there's this the old parade grounds were held, Saddam Hussein's old parade grounds. So fired in the direction of what is considered an American enclave there, not far from the U.S. Embassy. The second one may have also been fired at the same target because it landed not far away. These are generally unguided rockets, sort of you sort of point and shoot. That one fell in the Jadriya neighborhood, which is just across the Tigris River. And then, according to the same Iraqi media center, another rocket was fired toward an American base in Balad, Iraq, a different part of the country. So this is there's been no claim of responsibility, but the presumption is that this is some sort of response from the Shia militia groups who all day were out on the streets vowing to take revenge for the killing of Qasem Soleimani. It is, I should say, the kind of thing that they have done in the past. This is along the level of violence that they normally do whenever they want to show their anger, their frustration. They take these unguided rockets, they point them at the green zone, they point them at an American base, and they open fire. And that is what that kind of attack, or early a couple of weeks ago, is what started the chain of events that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.